Senator Kanata and I went to the University of Nairobi School of Law, where in his short moment of problems as a student leader, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. represented him in court. No, it was actually Senator Mutula, I'm sure you were the lawyer of the university, but helped him to get out anyway. Mr. Speaker, the main issue that many senators are attributing to their decision or their support for the motion is that the lawyers of Waititu failed the governor. Mr. Speaker, Senator Kanata, by his own admission, has said he has personal relationship, having been partners with Njenga and George, who all of us went to University of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, having admitted that, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of this House, how will the country expect Senator Kanata to vote in a situation where the main decision why the members of this House have a problem with the ultimate decision is his own partners, Mr. Speaker?
Order, senators. No, sit. Take your seat first. Take your seat, Senator Kanata.
No, allow me to.
No, you are going. I'm going to allow you, but I want to make.
Just to reply to them.
Okay. So take your seat. Order, Senator Kanata. That's why I wanted you to talk last, because then we can make progress. There's a point of order that has been raised, and it's so straightforward. Just declare whether you have an interest in the matter. Just that. You declared the other time, but now we are.
Yes. Charles Jenga was my partner between 2009 and 2018. Then I left the law firm of Mushoki, Kanata, Jenga to form my own law firm, Irongo Kanata, which presently does not have any association with Mushoki, Kanata, Jenga. And therefore, on this matter, I have no pecuniary interest at all.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you. Now, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my strategy, my advice would have been, once you have served with the documents, even if you are unable to bring all the documents within the same
on record. You are not on record. Put your mic on. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, this is a house of rules. And he has declared, yes, that he moved from the law firm. Are there any evidence to show this? Because we are really worried. Yesterday, yes, earlier there was an announcement. I have the floor. I think I have the floor.
Order, Senator.
Yesterday, our learned friend here already predetermined the motion, and the motion was the issue. The process was being handled by his lawyer. So this is, Mr. Speaker, a very serious issue that needs us to not to be very casual in terms of we are just hearing the story that he moved from the law firm. But how do we get to know that?
Order. I want to say this. Order, senators. Senator Shionga. We are all honorable members. And Honorable Kanata has given his version. If you have anything to the contrary, bring it to me so that I make a ruling. Otherwise, he has said he moved, and we take his word as an honorable member of this House. What's your point of order, Senator Linturi?
Mr. Speaker, I entirely agree with your directions. But I think I want you to hear me, Mr. Speaker. I think it's also important for purposes of record for Senator Kanata to go further then, because I have no issue with the declaration that he has made, and further say that the statements that he made, because the standing holders, right, the standing holders are coached in a way that any matter that is before the Senate, we are stopped from making comments on them outside the Senate. So because yesterday I said, alluded to this fact, Mr. Speaker, when I spoke,
okay,
and which you have not made a response to, that your own TV on Nation on Citizen, that he indeed said that this was the time to kick Governor.
Okay,
was it in order for him to do that?
Order, senators. You know you are raising a different matter. You raised your matter, and I said I will be making a ruling on Senator Kangata's issue and Senator Mwaura's issue. Later on, I will be giving a direction, and I mentioned that. So let Senator Kangata proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, my proposal would have been, yes, it is true, even if you are unable to bring all the documents in the first instance, at least bring some documents, whether a statement of defense, whether at least some list of witnesses. That to me would have been better. You would have been able at least to bring witnesses, but not to be heard that he is unable to do so because of the timelines. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court has handled the issue of timelines. And as correctly said by other councils who have come here, the issue of timelines are crucial. They are aimed at ensuring the process is fair to each and every person. And therefore, once we provide for timelines, file this document within certain timelines. For me, you ought to file them within those timelines. Mr. Speaker, sir, for me, there are 3 issues for determination. Issue number 1, do we have enough evidence to convict? So far, we know what kind of evidence exists before us. Number 2, what about the so-called issues concerning purported violations of the law at the assembly level? For me, Mr. Speaker, sir, that has been ably discussed by my colleagues on how to respond to that issue. Number 3, and most importantly, the problems that our counties are currently facing. We all know, we all come to counties. What can we do as a Senate to ensure we remedy those problems that currently are facing our people? Remember, we do not have water, whereas those issues are devolved. We do not have roads which are being made by governors. What can we do as a Senate, and what opportunities this process affords us? Thank you.
Okay, Senator Mwaura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the word go, I want to say that this process has really shown us that we need proper legal mechanism for impeachment. Because if you look at even Article section number 30 of the subsection 9 there, it says that we need to put in place a measure where if a governor is going to be impeached on the basis of incapacity, that procedure should be properly provided. I think there are so many lacunas in law to the extent that it is not a requirement, for example, that we should look at the threshold, and I think that's where people are getting confused. Is it the threshold or is it the quorum of who actually voted to impeach Governor Ferdinand Waititu? But, Mr. Speaker, having said that, I think we are here, and as a quasi judicial process, it also means that therefore that we are also quasi-political. So we need to make sure that we really, cover this very well, so that then we are seen also to be as impartial as possible. Mr. Speaker, because this is a political process. But having also noted that concern, is that, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the way the lawyers presented themselves, I think they were coming to stop this impeachment under preliminary objections. And that is why they actually disadvantaged Governor Ferdinand Waititu. Because when we voted in the morning, and that is what Governor Waititu was alluding to, 27 against 11, not to admit evidence, then there was no case, because he spent a lot of hours fumbling about 4 points of law, about whether there was a quorum for its threshold, about whether we were properly constituted as Senate,
and then other issues to do with the general evidence issues. So, Mr. Speaker, what I want to tell this Senate is that this matter is germane. The roads that are being said, some of them were constructed 2 years later. They are potholes. The people of Kiambu want justice. And there is a quagmire in the leadership of Kiambu County. This Senate is called upon to make a determination not to save an individual, but to ensure that service delivery is actually guaranteed to the people of Kiambu. Why? Because you have a governor who is out of office. You have a deputy governor who does not have full powers. Who is suffering here? It's about the people. And remember, the reason why we are here is because Governor Waititu was actually charged before a court of law. And the charges are as severe as has been demonstrated, even if we are not supposed to canvass this matters because they are before the court of law. So I think, Mr. Speaker, the role of the Senate is actually not to sanitize governors.
Finally, Senator Matangi.
Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity first to thank all members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, for the patience that they have demonstrated throughout the sittings for the 2 days, Mr. Speaker, including yourself. Mr. Speaker, this House, most of the time, we know that there are times even when we have challenges in quorum, but it is a demonstration of commitment, Mr. Speaker, that even at this time, on the second day of continuous running of hearings, Mr. Speaker, that this House is still full and members are patiently waiting to finally ensure that they carry out their constitutional mandate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the debate that we have had, although there has been arguments and cross-arguments, Mr. Speaker, I would want to paraphrase the words of Abraham Lincoln, Mr. Speaker, that we are friends, we are not enemies. And Mr. Speaker, though during the discussions we have had, Mr. Speaker, though passion may have strained, it must not break the bond of our common commitment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's not been enviable for myself as the senator for the county concerned, sitting there being a lover of debate, that I have to follow the rules, Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators, order. Let's consult in low tones so that we hear what the Senator Kiambu is saying.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, those last 2 days have not been the most exciting for myself as a lover of debate and contributions in this House, but I have to comply with the rules and precedents as set by this House, Mr. Speaker, so that I can allow members to dispassionately and fairly make their determination, Mr. Speaker. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Kiambu who have consistently consulted me have expressed their faith, and the ones I've spoken to, I have told them unequivocally that although you may see arguments across the floor, that finally the decision that this House will make is a decision that will be fair, that will be lawful, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say, on behalf of my people of Kiambu, that the decision that this House will take will bind us, Mr. Speaker. We shall honor that decision, Mr. Speaker, and we will know that it is a decision that has been made fairly by this House, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge, because our county has been in limbo, that the decision be taken by going to a vote so that we can now start to serve the people of Kiambu, whichever way, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to decide this matter. I thank all the senators, I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and all that have participated in this process, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Kimani Wamatangi. Now, before I call the mover to reply, I want to give 2 minutes to Senator Kanata and Mwaura, because allegations have been made here, to have your comment on what has been said. Then that will enable me to make a decision.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the allegation that I went on a media station and then I issued a prejudicial statement, let me say it is not true. I never went to a TV or a radio station and made such prejudicial statement. What I did, Mr. Speaker, and I admit, I did put a tweet, but the way I put it, I was very careful. I did not put any prejudicial statement. I am aware if I was to do that, it can have a negative impact on the dignity, the independence, impartiality of this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I want to put it on record. I'm a believer in the rule of law. I'm a believer in Senate as an independent and a strong institution whose work is to oversight the counties. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, what happens, it was taken out of context by the actual media station, which then circulated that one. For me, I strongly believe whatever decision that you are going to make will be independent, will be fair, will be impartial, and we are going to deliver justice to the people of Kiambu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mwaura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was quite shocked. Yes, Mudungu Ariru. And now Kiambu. I was quite shocked to hear the governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu, actually read my tweet as part of his concluding observations. And why so? Because this tweet, yes, I did it, yes. I don't want to say I didn't do it, I did it. And I did it after we had voted not to accept his evidence. I think from what he submitted, it looked like he thought I was already judging that now the case is closed. No. It was about that admissibility of evidence. But also at the same time, Mr. Speaker, I am on record. It's not a matter of public conjecture. But for me, I have opposed Governor Waititu. That's the truth. I do not agree with him. I do not agree in the manner in which he has conducted himself as the governor of Kiambu. I stand with the people of Kiambu, and so I cannot withdraw my opinion of him. However, that does not preempt. That statement is not preemptive of the decision of this August House. In any case, we vote as a delegation, and Senator Wamatangi is here to vote.
All right, nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura right there, just giving his submissions. As we conclude this particular broadcast of The Big Story, allow me to engage Anthony Konya one more time. Anthony, I'd like to get your take. As a Kiambu Town member of County Assembly, we well know of the two eventualities. It's either he's impeached or not. If he's impeached, what's the way forward in Kiambu County? If he's not impeached, what's the way forward?
Thank you very much. And from the proceedings that I've just watched, and I've followed the proceedings for the 2 days, I've been in the Senate personally, and I can tell you, most likely what is going to happen is that the motion is going to carry the day, and they're going to impeach the governor, which is going to be quite unfortunate, owing to the so many legal issues that have been put across, issues of quorum, issues of admissibility of evidence, and all those issues. So in an event that he's impeached, the law is very clear that he stands as not the governor of Kiambu, and he loses his seat, which now allows him to seek redress in court. He can move to the High Court, and the law is very clear that he can do that to the very end, that is at the highest court of the land.
Oh, all right.
So that is one possibility. The other thing, that is what he's supposed to do. The other thing that is going to happen is that we will now begin, upon the Speaker of the Senate communicating with the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kiambu, then begin preparations for the swearing in of the Deputy Governor to assume the office of Governor. That is, if the court do not deter that process or do not stop that process.
Okay.
But otherwise, the Governor enjoys the right to move to court and to have the court, look at all the issues that he was trying to raise at the Senate and see if they have any legal, substance before the courts. And
All right, many thanks, Anthony Konya, for your contribution on The Big Story show. He's a Kiambu Town member of County Assembly. We'll definitely continue following up on the Senate, even as they go ahead to vote on whether to impeach the Kiambu governor or not. To keep it KTN News for more information on that. My name is Jesse Rogers. Good evening.